Welcome to another episode of the Helper series of Dear Asian Americans. I am your host, Jerry Wan. And today we are so lucky and grateful to have Stacey Kwong, who is the owner of Milk and Tea, a boba shop with three locations, one in Los Angeles and Little Tokyo, Portland, and Las Vegas. And I wanted to bring her on. She was put on my radar by David Verduzco. And it was a story of here is a small business owner who is getting ahead of what she believes to be coming and setting up philanthropic efforts to help the community. I want to welcome Stacey to the show. Hi, Stacey.
Hi, thanks, Jerry. Humbled to be here.
Hey, this week and next week, we're talking to everyday community members who, in their own way, wherever they may be and in whatever way they can, are doing things to help the community.
Right.
And I think the way, I think it was talking about providing meals for school children, I think is the context in which David had mentioned you to me. And in, speaking with you for the last few days, I'm so, it brings me a lot of joy to see so many people do the right thing. Obviously, it's not, it's not an easy thing to be going through.
Yeah.
And so I do appreciate you making time. And as our listeners can see, I have a bright light here, but as you can tell by Stacey's camera, it is very late in the night. And so extra thanks for making time for us. But Stacey, let's start with you and learn a little bit about you and your background. So share with us, where are you from and how were your early years in life and ultimately leading your decision to open up a milk and tea boba chain?
Yeah, of course. Born and raised in Los Angeles, one of the luckier kids. Born to a very Christian home. My mom, she's from China. Dad was from Hong Kong. He actually passed away in 2014 from lung cancer, which was actually one of the things that fueled me to get Milk and Tea off the ground. Ever since high school, always wanted to open either a boba shop, coffee shop. I think at one point I wanted like a karaoke studio. I just wanted something that I can call my own. And yeah, throughout high school, I was always teased for being gay, lesbian, even though I wasn't out. So I wanted a space where I could feel like me and not judged, just be myself. And that's how we kind of created Milk and Tea. My business partner and I, we painted a mural on the wall. It says all are welcome. And we hang pride flags to know that, hey, this is a safe space. You are welcome no matter your ethnicity, sexuality, et cetera, et cetera. And after we started with a food truck. After we did that for a couple of years, we opened our first store in Little Tokyo. And now we have Portland and Las Vegas. And the rest is history.
Was that your first business that you started, or tell me a little bit more about how you ended up and why opening up a boba store that is extremely inclusive was that important to you in your business opening journey?
The first entrepreneurial experience I can remember is when I was around 9. I cooked a box of Kraft mac and cheese. And I went to my parents and I was like, do you want to buy a bowl for 25 cents? And my dad looked at me and he's like, I can get the whole box for 25 cents. No, thank you. And I kind of sulked and walked away. But that was my first memory of even opening some sort of restaurant. And then in high school, I bought and resold iPhones. I would buy them from Craigslist, clean it up, make it look really nice, resell it for maybe 20, 30 bucks more. And I would that was my revenue during high school. College, I started a failed clothing line. I'm actually wearing one of the shirts right now.
What does it say on there? What's the brand?
It was called Talent Domain. I don't know. I wanted a domain where all talents could come together, I guess. Obviously it didn't do very well. And I had like thousands of dollars worth of inventory that I actually donated a few months ago. And after that, I was kind of like, okay, this next business that I start, I don't want it to fail again, so to speak. So I made sure that I had a business plan, that I actually talked to my parents about it,
Mm.
did the whole 9 yards. And even though we didn't follow the business plan, kind of worked out a little bit better.
Awesome. And you, most people, when they expand their businesses,
Hmm.
LA's big enough for multiple locations, multiple thumbtacks in an LA map.
Right.
But you decided to go one state up and one state over. Um, why and how did that come to be?
So in 2016, I actually visited Portland with a friend of mine, and I absolutely fell in love with the city, fell in love with the people, the vibes. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to say it right now. In 2 years, I want a store here. And I didn't have any goals really, except for that. I didn't have a plan. I just said in 2 years, I want a store. So after we opened LA, I was just, browsing the internet, looking for commercial leases. And I come across this one building in Beaverton. So it's not in Portland. It's maybe 20 minutes to another side of Portland. But yeah, I came across the building and I was like, oh, it looks really nice. And I was like, you know what? It's no harm to reach out to the landlord.
Mm.
So I sent him an email and I was like, hey, I'm a business from Los Angeles. Let me know if there's any tenant improvement programs that you have. And he responds and says, yeah, actually, I do. And he told me to apply for it. And I was like, okay, great. And they accepted us. And in addition to that, we got a grant from the city of Beaverton
Mm.
to open. So we had over half of our construction paid for.
Wow.
And that was really the point of like, well, if we turn this down, it's kind of stupid because we have a store that's almost paid for.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm young. I'm not attached to any family. So I'm just going to move. So moved to Portland for a year
Oh, wow.
to open that store. And yeah, now it just runs on its own. And I'm in LA.
Oh, very
And
cool. I
then
mean,
Vegas,
yeah.
same story, but my business partner is really in love with Vegas. So she currently lives in Las Vegas.
Okay. Beaverton's an interesting city, right? It's home to
Hmm.
Nike. There's Intel. There's Microsoft out there. So
Exactly.
a more diverse population than I think you would or one would consider in thinking about Portland,
Oh yeah.
Oregon,
Oh yeah.
particularly on the west side of town. So that's very
Hmm.
cool. Let's talk about the last few days. You are a small business owner
Yes.
um, and a restaurant, and a quick or I don't know, fast food, drink, some
Right.
not non-food essential business that I think has been impacted by um initially probably by people's hesitancy to visit restaurants in general. Perhaps unfortunately we've seen a lot of anti-Asian um behavior, racism that we saw, locally in Chinatown and Koreatown here in LA.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, seems like forever ago, but it was only maybe a month ago even. And now with Mayor Garcetti of LA, the governor of Nevada, and I think Portland maybe not, or Beaverton not yet. But restaurants are being asked to participate or encourage social distancing by not letting people in the stores and just drive through and pick up
Hmm.
only, or delivery and pick up only. Um, when did you start to notice that was going to be a challenge for you, and what were some of the first things that you thought about when it in the ways that it would have impact your business?
Right. Oddly enough, it wasn't until the mayor of LA said that he wanted to shut down all restaurants that we completely dropped sales in LA. This past Sunday was still incredibly busy for us.
Wow. Okay.
People knew about, the virus and everything, but they want their boba. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna.
Yeah.
So we were really surprised because we had already anticipated a drop in sales the week before.
Right.
And we were like, this weekend is probably going to be extremely slow. So we cut a few team members. And then last minute, we actually had to bring team members back on board because it was busier than we had anticipated.
Mm.
But Vegas and Portland definitely drop in sales right when the virus started to spread a lot more and get more serious. We definitely noticed a drop in sales just because I think both Vegas and Portland or Beaverton, their stores are in more community
Right.
settings. It's not in a touristy area versus LA stores in Little Tokyo, which
Right.
is
Lots
very
of foot traffic.
touristy.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
And so, what sort of plans did you have in terms of, let's talk about just the business side of things.
Hmm.
Nobody has a COVID-19 contingency plan,
Right.
or a global, health pandemic contingency plan, but your locations and your business is a little bit spread out.
Hmm.
Does that add to your concern about, the three different states in which you operate taking different stances on things? And how have your employees taken the news of potentially not making, some money for a while?
Yeah. Luckily, all three teams across the board have been extremely understanding. We have team members that are volunteering their time. They don't even want to be paid just to deliver drinks for us when they're
Wow.
not on shift. And they're like, we believe in milk and tea. We love you guys. We just want to help. And we're like, no, of course you're going to be paid. But yeah, we would gladly love for you guys to deliver. So in LA and Vegas, we have a delivery program going on where we buy 10 or more drinks, delivery is free.
Mm.
And thanks to the help of our incredible, loving team, we're able to make that happen. So it's been a challenge, but I think we have a really strong team behind us, just willing to help us get through this.
That's really good to hear. And share with us a little bit more about your brown bag program that you've instituted, or are trying out this week. And not so much the what, but more of the why.
So on, I think it was Sunday after Mayor Garcetti had released a statement that all restaurants were to be closed, I'm sitting there with my girlfriend freaking out internally. And I'm like, what are we going to do? This is going to impact our sales. Payroll's due tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. And I see this post on Instagram from our neighboring business in Beaverton. It's called Lionheart Coffee. They said in the post they're going to be giving free brown bag lunches available to kids or parents who need them, just because schools that are closed are no longer offered to are no longer able to offer free
Right.
lunches. And it kind of hit me where I was like, yes, this is going to affect us, but we are still in a much better position than a lot of other families out there.
Right.
Let's say Milk and Tea were to close. I still have a home thanks to my mom. I I still have a car. I still have, I still have food,
Right.
and just a lot of things that I'm blessed with that many other people may not have access to. And I was like, why am I freaking out and panicking when I could be helping others instead? So I contacted Ben, the owner of Lionheart, and I was like, I want to do this too. So we decided on peanut butter and jelly
That's
sandwiches.
great.
And all three locations have a really hard time finding bread. But we managed. I think LA is doing bagels because, sorry, Vegas is doing bagels because they can't find any sliced bread.
Wow.
But we're making it work. So,
That's
yeah,
awesome. And let's talk about LA. I am more familiar with the area, obviously.
right.
Who's coming by? Who's come by today? And share with us maybe a story or two of some of the conversations you've had.
Right. So it's interesting. Not a lot of people are actually coming by. We made about 50 bags today in LA. Before I left at around 6 p.m., maybe 10 of them were given away. And we started this at 3. So
Hmm.
there's a whole 3 hours for people to
Right.
stop by. And the people that we asked, they were like, oh, like, no, it's okay. We'll leave it for someone who really needs it.
Mm.
But I think a lot of people, they're either too prideful to take a bag, or they just want to leave it in case someone else needs it. So
Right.
if by Friday we still have bags, we're just going to donate it to the homeless shelter, since
Okay.
being in Little Tokyo, we're very close to a lot of
Right.
homeless shelters.
Right.
So yeah,
I think
we have
that's
a backup plan.
yeah. I
So,
mean, I think I mean, you bring up another valid concern. The homeless population in
mhm.
LA is has been growing at an alarming rate. And
Yep.
latest I heard, the county has, taken over or commandeered or gotten some hotels to turn those
Oh, wow.
completely into temporary housing shelters.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, there is, some good that is coming
Mhm.
from this. I mean, marginal good. I mean, we have to take whatever we can.
Right.
Um, and I want to, talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you're hearing from your friends and fellow small business owners.
Mhm.
According to some estimates, the service industry is 15% of the economy, which is a significant chunk. And
Right.
most, restaurant guys and, folks are not on salary, obviously. They're
Yeah.
hourly plus tip, and it's a variable, system. And most of them are marginalized from a equity and all sorts of different perspective.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think needs to happen, or what would you like to see have happened? Um, for you to go back to as normal as we can.
Honestly, let's say, for example, in Korea, if you're sick or if you have been around someone who is sick, the government gives you a care package. The care package is full of ramen, rice, water, tuna, just necessities. And in the US, you get sick, you get a hospital bill.
Right.
And I understand shutting down restaurants and other non-essential retail stores, but at the same time, all these employees, all these um, hourly staff, how are they going? Because yes, the business is stopped, but does rent stop?
Sure. Right.
So I definitely think some sort of package or some sort of detailed plan that the government could provide would have been better.
Sure.
I do know that, I'm sure the mayor is extremely stressed out right now and just kind of taking this day by day, just like we are.
Yeah.
But I have heard of some sort of payment that the government is thinking about paying citizens
Sure.
during this time of the pandemic. So I'm hoping that'll happen because
Yeah.
that'll definitely help me as a small
Sure.
business owner pay rent. That'll help my employees kind of breathe a little bit
Sure. Yeah.
because I think the gas and electric companies, they're not shutting off the service, but at
Sure.
the same time, next month, I'm sure they're still going to have to come up for the missing
The bill accrues.
payments.
Correct. Yeah.
Exactly. The bill's not going to go away.
Right.
It's just going to start
Yeah.
stacking up.
Yeah.
And where are these people going to get the money from? That's
Sure.
so one of my team members actually suggested that they file unemployment under Milk and Tea for not getting enough hours. And while in a regular situation, I would be against that just because it does raise our insurance rates
Right.
and the money does come out of our pocket. I told them, I was like, go for it.
Right.
This problem is much bigger than the company. We
Sure.
want you guys to, get enough money, get
Right.
enough stability to get through this. And I was like, do it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about us
Yeah.
at this point. Mhm.
That's really heartening to hear because it shows your character and your what's important to you. Um, and personally for me, and I know from talking to so many other people this week that
Mhm.
all the things that we thought mattered don't overnight.
Yep.
Um, the word should becomes a very different definition. The word need becomes very, very different definition. And
Very true.
it is, I think we hear stories a lot all the time of, small business owners just being the most worrisome, in addition to their staff. And, um, thank you for putting your staff, as a priority, because I think it's hard. Nothing is easy. Right. And
Yeah.
um, as particularly as an Asian American community, a lot of us are sadly chuckling because, you know, uh, UBI or guaranteed payments of some sort was Andrew's idea. And, you
Yep.
know, um, and from what I've read, he's not very happy that they're taking the idea because obviously it's not a forever thing. It is a one time, pumping into the
Right.
economy.
Yeah.
Um,
Everyone's Yang Gang now.
yeah, maybe Mitt Romney, I don't know, he had spotlight for a little bit.
Hmm.
But I think whatever we can do, but it is really, really cool. I think knowing why you started the business and why it means so much to you. Um, and I know, and I can tell that it is a place that your team members call home to. And I think it's evident by the fact that your local community in Little Tokyo is rallying around you. You know, I don't know if we do the math, if everybody is self quarantining at home, people don't need 10 bobas, but if that's your minimum, people have a lot of extra boba at home. So,
Right.
um, I don't know when our audience members are going to be watching this video or listening to this podcast, but
Hmm.
you know, um, you're on the corner of San Pedro and Second. If you are in walking distance to Milk and Tea, um, I used to live around there, so I can start naming apartment buildings and encouraging people to go and order. But I think this in this time of need, um, it is something that is really important and um, in I guess relative to all the bad news that is coming, these stories are nice to hear.
Yeah.
So, Stacey, thank you for making time for us, and more importantly, thank you for doing the right thing.
Of course. Trying our
Um,
hardest.
yeah, it's you know, however way we can, in whatever way. So I want to end with this. Our show, our podcast is called Dear Asian Americans, and my vision for it was really a love letter to us, from us, to help celebrate, support, and inspire, and just encourage one another as we go through um, what has never been, continues to be a challenging immigrant journey. Where um, you said you're born and raised proudly from LA, and sometimes doesn't feel like we belong, and some people don't. You know, they remind us that we don't belong. So
Hmm.
it is really a project that I wanted to start to really uplift and encourage and empower the community to do good things, and also let them know that people are behind them.
Yeah.
In spirit of all that's going on, I will start our letter, and please help us finish it out. Dear Asian Americans,
Stay strong, stay safe, wash your hands, stop hoarding toilet paper, support your local businesses, and let's just get all let's just get through this and spread kindness.
stop spreading the disease
Yep,
and start
exactly.
spreading kindness instead.
Exactly. Exactly.
Stacey, thank you so much. I look forward to the day that we can walk around and visit stores and buy
Yes.
boba and milk and tea. Um, I really appreciate you making time. It is past 11 here in LA, and you have been more than um, accommodating in communicating with me to set this interview up. And I know that your situation at this moment is extremely challenging, and you've been nothing but positive attitude and putting others first. So I wish you well, in this process. And I know you're still delivering boba and making things for other people. So you especially, please stay out safe out there, and for all of our restaurant and all of our service people. Um, and in fact everybody who just still has to work,
Hmm.
medical, first responders, government, um, UPS stores are being forced to open. It's a lot of
Oh,
people that are
wow.
there, yeah, to make sure that packages are flowing. So if you are working out there, actually if you work on the east side of downtown LA, go order some boba. So
Yeah.
it is an amazing time, not from a what's happening, but I think the response and the humanism that we are starting to see, and the humanity and the stories that are coming out. So again, Stacey, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I wish you well. And as soon as I am
Thanks for
able,
having me.
I will go to your store and buy some boba. And we will
Yes,
cheers
after
to,
all this is over.
after all this is over, we will
Yes,
cheers to brighter days. Thank
exactly.
you,
For now,
Stacey.
we're on Postmates too. So,
Oh, Postmates. There we go. And if you're listening, we will put all the links in the show notes. If you're watching this wherever you are, we'll put all those links so that you can order boba today. Stacey, thank you so much again, and we'll see you soon.
all right, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.